G'day, I'm Mark from Self-Sufficient Me, and check this beast out. Hey? Our brand new 2250 Stabicraft Ultra Centre Cab. I don't know if I've said that even the right way around. I'm just so excited. We picked this up the other day from Mark Golden at Northside Marine, and he gave us a detailed handover on the water, and we were thinking, why don't we bring you that handover? What a typical dealer does, or what they should do, what a really good dealer will do, is when you purchase a boat, they will take you out on the water and give you a handover and explain the ins and outs of the boat to you. And this is really beneficial. I know it helped us out heaps when we bought our first boat off Northside Marine. It was our 1850 Stabicraft, which we actually still got. We have to get rid of that yet. But that helped us immensely, even just to know how to hook the boat up and to put it in the water. Just to give us what we call a soldier's 5 in the old days when I was in the army. Helps out tremendously, and then you're not fumbling and wondering how to do it. It's monkey see, monkey do, which is the best way for me to learn. And I think the best way is to just get out there and show you how that walkthrough went. So let's get out there. Do you do this for everyone, Mark?
Pretty exciting day in the whole scheme of things, and getting your brand new big Stabicraft. So a little bow in there, so get a laugh out of you when you drove in.
Yeah, we saw it straight away. James pointed at it and goes, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Got a few little gifts here for you.
Oh, really?
So we got some actual care attention gear.
Salty Captain.
Apparel. So I'm sure you can go and whack one of them straight.
Yeah, bloody oath.
But yeah, fenders, so this will get you a good start. So Mark, what we might do, we'll head in and we'll do the necessary paperwork, warranties, run you through some of the things you need to know for servicing and maintenance of this big Yamaha. And then once we've cracked on with that, I'll hook her up and let's get out on the water.
Okay, cool.
Sounds good.
Beauty. I mean, if we were going from the tinny to this, it would have been a really, really drastic jump. But because we're going from the 1850 to the 2250, this doesn't seem as big of a jump, even though this is massive. This is a big boat. It's still, I think, very maneuverable and towable. It's not wide load. It's not something ridiculous. Mark, do you think that this fella here, do you think that the conditions will trouble it much today?
No, absolutely not. As you can see out here today, it's an absolute beautiful, beautiful day.
Do we start with a look around and a bit of a brief thing? See, we've never had a trailer that needs a electronic braking system for a start.
Yep, so we are going to literally just run through everything. So we'll break it down into sort of the trailer, the motor and the boat. And we're going to run through a bit of a sort of a detailed run through on land here. So that things like the trailer, obviously we can't talk about out on the water, but then the actual operation of the boat and the motor, how to utilise the Helm Master, all of that we'll be doing once we put it in the water. So we'll just probably prepare the boat for putting it in the water, but before we do that, we're still going to run through a whole heap of things. Pretty obviously, like every other boat, we're going to have some tie-down straps on the back of the boat. So we'll remove them. If I just jump up and turn that isolation switch on, I can then access power to the motor. I've got my high-vis prop flag to take off. If we raise up this motor, we've got access to our twin. So you probably only had the one.
Yeah, just the one.
So we've now got on both of the trim rams here with this big 300, we run twin Yamaha supports. So they basically run on these greased pins, and they eliminate any sort of real basically shock on these seals that hold all that trim and tilt fluid. So we basically only use them when we're on the trailer for trailering around, just to give that extra support. As you can see right now, there's tension in this chain. So all we basically do first of all is just take off all the tension of this safety chain. Which will then basically allow for a lot more accessibility for that D-shackle. So another thing I like to do is just check just to make sure that those D shackles are going to release when we get down there.
Yeah.
Again, today's not busy, but if it was busy, so I've got...
The last thing you want to do is not be able to undo those D shackles and then look for pliers and you're holding up everyone else.
This is now going to run dual chains, okay? So that's a main difference.
Yeah.
Very important whenever you are going to tow any trailer with dual chains that you do cross those chains. So as you can see, that's they're crossed, and the idea is if somehow that popped off the ball, that would basically stop it from hitting the ground or help.
Yeah.
So as with all boats, that must be locked down at all times, that coupling, because that obviously locks it onto your ball. We've still got your light plug similar to your other one, but another point of difference is this guy. So this here, which is part of an electronic braking system, this is called a breakaway switch. So if somehow this was to get pulled out, say for example the boat discharged from the vehicle, it will then pull that key out and that will automatically just lock those brakes on. Here's our custom ordered bow ladder. So all it is with that, push the little blue button, pull that pin out. That will then spin down and we put the pin in the actual vertical position, and then you've got the ability for people to sort of jump over the rail, hold on, and then climb down onto the beach. Keeps the motor out into that slightly deeper water off the beach. Nice and convenient. You can just then reverse back away once you've dropped off your guests.
A little bit daunting.
She's a bit of a low tide today.
Yeah.
So the first thing I'm going to do now, Mark, would be to remove the safety chain. And then basically I'm going to remove the winch, and the only thing that will then be attached, basically attaching the boat to the trailer, will actually be the actual boat catch. Now I gave you your winch handle, but I'll just grab a spare one out of here. And it's a removable handle, so you just got to remember to put it in and out of the vehicle. So that's on the boat catch now.
Oh, gotcha, yes.
And there's
so there's a bit of a leeway, a few inches.
Yeah, so, not even, probably one. But so basically what we've done is we've disconnected everything. And the only thing holding the boat onto the trailer is that boat catch. Now I can't push this lever because there's now pressure on this pin from the weight of the boat. So I'm going to jump in the boat now and show James that I'll start the motor. I'm going to then drive forward with a bit of throttle. That will eliminate all the pressure off that pin, and you'll be able to push that with one finger until it clicks. Once it clicks, that means that the pin's been retracted, and my suggestion is you give us a thumbs up to say we're totally free. We can then just drop it into neutral. If we have to, a tiny bit of reverse, come off the trailer, and then that'll allow us to park it. We go put the car away, and we're going to go and put this bad boy in the water.
Okay.
Ready to put it in gear? And then I'll give you the thumbs up to press that pin to push the boat catch pin.
Okay, moving it forward. It's clicked into place. I give it the thumbs up, Roger, Dodger, and off we go. Look at that beast. Oh, hokey crikey, it's like a big lump of concrete jumping into the lake.
You ready to grab us, Mark?
Yes. You can definitely feel the extra weight, but it's still maneuverable.
If we just put that on there. I'll go park the car. You guys want to just hold this for a sec?
Yeah.
But we could also just do it off the road.
Yeah, that Yamaha's a lot of power. I mean, it only started in the boat ramp on the trailer here, but it has a lot of power. Holy moly!
Really, you can hear it bubbling away. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, jeez. Oh, no. That's a tight circle.
So, pretty quickly, Mark, you can see this one performs a little bit differently. One of the reasons why it's such a popular model. Help! It's such a popular model because it's sort of quite unique with that fishability, but then still giving you what I feel is pretty spacious cabin.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like people sort of, forget the fact that yes, they are stable and yes, they are very, very safe boats, but I'm very biased myself, but there's not a lot of boats that I'd rather be in, especially in rough conditions, than a large Stabicraft. So, looks like it's your turn, James, and you'll be able to experience all of that and just get more and more comfortable behind this wheel over time. Wow. Jump in. But yeah, that would have felt a little bit different to an 1850.
Yeah.
Just the performance of that.
Oh, you could feel the power in it. But the turning, it seems to turn even better than the 1850.
Well, it's a different hull.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 1850 is a great boat.
Oh, it is.
It's a lot lighter.
Yeah.
So just remember your trim position, depending on how you want to drive. But yeah, it's got a lot more power than what you're used to, but there's not much you could do today, especially in this calm conditions, that would be unsafe. Wow. That's the difference too. That's electric steering versus the hydraulic steering on your other boat. So really, you can change the friction of that because it's electronic. You can set it for a light or heavy, however you like. So, yeah, in time, if you find that you'd rather a bit more friction to that wheel, you can certainly do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it just feels so much more smooth and
and you'll notice the control box is a lot more smooth as well.
Yes, it is.
Because it doesn't have there's no mechanical cables, so it's just done digitally. It's a digital throttle, so. It won't take you long, Mark, to realise that because of the hard top and because of this protection that we have, nothing's flapping and all that, you just don't realise how fast you're going in a hard top. So probably trim up a little bit, James, and you'll get that nose up a little bit more. So about halfway on that trim. Yeah, you'll notice that you get a little bit of less drag and it performs a little bit nicer. Yeah, so like that's 40 k's an hour and you just don't realise. Yeah. So this boat will do over 75 kilometres an hour, not today. No. We're still running that motor in. Yeah. But you'll notice that you go, whoa, we're doing 50, and you don't realise just because of how safe and protected you feel. So, yeah, so it won't take James long at all to be like, well, I'd drive this in any conditions. Yeah. And when you were saying, is it safe to go to Morton Friday? Yeah. I said, well, it'd have to be pretty horrendous to not be safe to go there in this.
Yeah. What do you reckon, James?
I'm going mad with power. And it feels so much smoother compared to our 1850 as well.
Yeah.
And I guess it's because of that weight.
That additional weight, we're a little bit further off the bow. It's just a more substantial boat, so it's always going to feel a bit smoother and handle the weather a bit better. But if you had a thought about jumping into this from your first tinny, that's a very daunting thought. But
I'm glad we didn't.
yeah, so to go from the 1850 to the next size like this, it's not as daunting a jump because of that previous experience. But once you go and get all your mates, like the 8 guys going on the boat this week, that extra space, that extra weight, that extra horsepower, I just know that you'll love it. And the fact that you'll stay dry, all your camera gear up here, you can pack a lot of gear into the boat that's always going to stay dry. So I suppose this is just the next level to what you've experienced so far.
Yeah.
To start off with, let's just have a look at this little station that we've got here. So this is obviously our helm station, and there's a few things that are going to be fairly different to your 1850. And for starters, obviously we've got this joystick. Okay, so this joystick is going to give you so much feature. It's going to take a little while to get the benefit of all of those features. So the whole idea is when we basically operate the joystick, we've got to power it up with this joystick button here. But as I was just explaining, we've got a plus and a minus. It gives us the amount of thrust level to which we can use this joystick. Now, if we just want to manually drive the boat around on the joystick, with the power on here, we can actually do that. So I'm on thrust level 2. If I just press forward, I'm now going forward. If I twist the joystick,
Yes.
that's how I actually steer. So if I want, I can then increase the thrust, and you'll notice that we're now driving around. If I twist the other way, I've then moved the motor now, and I'm twisting in an alternate.
You drive the thing with 2 fingers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I can then adjust exactly how much or how little thrust that I want. So if we can imagine the joystick has a central axis, that is the neutral for the joystick.
I gotcha, yeah.
Okay, so if I want to go in reverse, if I just press backwards, I'm now in reverse.
Yeah.
Forwards for forwards, or if I want it, now I can't go directly to the side because this is a single engine operation.
Yeah.
But if I actually go forwards and then twist, I can then actually spin the boat on the spot. So the joystick will give you lots and lots of features over time that you will learn. Things like the speed control, you can control the actual speed, up and down through the actual joystick. But one of the things that a lot of people love to do is this little button right here, which is called fish point.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I push fish point now, what's going to happen is it's going to actually take a little tiny bit of time to work out how do we actually hold here. It's telling me here fish point is active, and I can say confirm, and it will basically work out through wind and everything, how do I hold you on this exact spot. So at first it's a little bit aggressive to try and work out exactly how does it hold me here, but then once it sort of works out, okay, the wind is pushing me, they sort of say, for example, if you had your eyes closed and your feet were close together, somebody's going to start to push you. You don't know where they're going to come from. You don't know where to brace. But if all of a sudden someone's pushing you from the same position, then you can sort of basically brace yourself, and you can, and that's what the boat's working out. Right. How do I work out how to hold myself here to be nice and accurate? So now it's sort of working out that it's basically, this is how we hold it here, and we will basically just go in and out of gear in order to hold us. So if that wind picks up and we get a very strong current, we've then got to use the thrust level in order to potentially hold us here.
Yeah.
Now you've also got the ability to use fish point in either fish point bow or fish point stern. So right now we've got it in fish point stern, so we're actually holding basically the back of the boat into that wind, and it's it's quite accurate. So we're staying, if we were to zoom right in on our GPS now, we'll notice that we're going to basically stay in, like I'm zoomed right in, we'll now stay in this little location. So this was me driving around off the joystick. and we're now basically set on fish point, so we can sort of stay here. Now, in a safety aspect, at any time, anything overrides itself for safety. So let's say, for example, I look up and there's a boat coming for us and I want to get out of here. Now, if you hang on, but if I was to use my throttle, as soon as I throttle on, I've actually now deactivated the joystick, and I can just, you know, get out of the way or do whatever. So if I wanted to basically start, you know, using the boat, I also have my autopilot computer down here. Now, you are going to love this because this just makes life better. An autopilot on a boat just reduces your fatigue. You can set wherever you want to go. Let's say we're going over to Tangalooma for a holiday or something like that. I can just come to a comfortable speed that I want to do. It doesn't matter what that speed is. And then I have the ability for the first one here being heading hold. So if I press that, it's now going to keep me on this exact heading hold, right, of a compass heading. But if we have a strong wind or a current pushing us offline, it'll stay with the same heading, but we might end up further down the island, okay, because it's only working off a heading, it's not working off basically adjustment for that wind and current. Now, if I wanted to go to a particular location on an island, I'm better off probably going into course hold. And then what that does is it will compensate for the wind or the current, and you will end up at that exact location. So instead of being on a compass bearing, you're now on a course bearing. So it knows where the end destination is, and if it's going a bit offline through the wind, it will correct that for you. So that's by going into course hold, which will not be affected by wind or current.
Yeah.
The next one over here is called track point. Okay, so with track point, what we have the ability to do is to set any sort of navigation on our Simrad. Now, the difference to these two here, we just press and hold them and they just automatically work. With the track point, you've got to press and hold that button, and then it will basically follow whatever track that you have actually put onto it, including if you put multiple waypoints along that track to go through markers or to avoid an island or something like that. This will actually follow that exact track that you've actually set inside that Simrad.
Right.
So a lot to get your head around.
Yeah.
But this autopilot computer and this joystick in time are going to basically just make the driving of the boat and the navigation of this boat even more enjoyable. So we'll get up to a bit of a higher speed and I'll utilize some of that functionality as well. But yeah, definitely with the use of this and this will be a bit of a game changer, but it's going to take a little while to get all of those benefits.
Yeah.
So now that we're on a course hold, if I realise that, hey, I'm a little bit off course, I can even use my joystick, and I'm actually, by going clockwise, I'm changing that course slightly to the left. So each little twist, I'm just slightly changing my course to the left, or obviously slightly to the right if I want. I also have these buttons down here, and I can press left and right, and that will allow me to adjust my course accordingly if I want. And there's also a short press for 1 degree change, long press for 5 degree change. So whilst you're going along, I don't ever have to touch the steering wheel if I don't want, because I can adjust my course, I can adjust my course down here, and realistically, right now, my steering is kind of locked. Okay, so that's actually sort of locked at the moment because I'm in course hold. But if all of a sudden I look up in front and there's a big dirty crab pot or something like that, I can grab the wheel and I can override that. And so I've automatically turned off the autopilot, and out of safety, I've taken control. If I then want to basically get back on that course, I then get back on that course, and then once I'm on course, I can then press my course hold and I'm now back on course. Right. So so there's a lot of things that you can just be sitting back. Now you always have to watch where you're going. You do not ever rely purely on an autopilot system because of obviously potential dangers. But the fact that you're not having to watch this GPS continuously adjust your navigation due to waves or whatever, when you get to your destination,
you seem like far less fatigued. You can talk. You can sort of, you know, a little bit less concentration. So, but it will take a little bit of sort of practice to sort of get used to it, because as soon as you let it go, it wants to just drop back into that central axis being neutral. So you sort of, when you're driving it on the joystick, you want to keep it in gear and then twist it or let it, you know, let it go back to straight and drive it accordingly. So yeah, so that's going to take a little bit of practice. Just a bit of, when you've got a bit of time, you might just drive the boat around on the joystick. Maybe look at a little, you know, safe beacon to you know, to navigate around and sort of just get the feel for it, because yeah, it took me a little while, and now I can sort of feel like I've sort of got the hang of it a little bit more.
Yeah. That will come in handy, just to move slightly off spots, or just slightly line up the front of the boat.
Yeah.
With like a buoy or something, or like a crab pot.
Yeah.
As well. So I can imagine Dad being on the right side of the boat and wanting to pick up a crab pot, and I can just say, oh, I might run over the top of it, and I could just slightly angle it and move it.
He's already getting the hang of it, Mark.
Well, it's
It's his gaming.
good.
It's all his gaming, isn't it? Yeah,
Won't
it's
take
a
long.
joystick.
So,
Yeah,
how long have you been playing with joysticks, buddy, since you were kids?
yeah.
So yeah, so that's, I don't think it'll take long. It's just a bit of, the more you play with it, the more it'll become a familiar sort of maneuverability.
That's absolutely amazing. The sheer ride of it. Oh man. Well, the seats right now, why are you worrying about like the seats? Yeah, they're about something. It's hard, you know.
Basically, getting all the gear, working out how you want to pack the boat, where you want to put certain things.
Yeah.
As I said, make sure you do utilize like all that storage. There's a lot of storage in all your side pockets underneath that V-berth sleeping area.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd use that underfloor storage area.
Yeah.
You know, you can keep a lot of wet gear in there.
Yeah,
or
ropes and
snorkeling
stuff,
gear,
yeah.
or I'm not sure what you're taking for this particular trip, but
Yeah.
there's
Lots
a
of
lot
that.
I mean, storage in a boat is vital. You're always looking for it, so the fact that you've got so much of that, obviously with these split lid ice boxes designed to be able to, you know, take out, and then you've got sort of access to those, so you could have, you know, a fish one and a food one.
Yeah.
Pretty handy. They just slide back in right up underneath.
Yeah.
But that's also a really nice seating position. So if you were trolling lures, or even if you just, you know, the fishing's gone a bit quiet, you're under the shade here. You've got a nice back-to-back seating cushions. So yeah, so this is one of the reasons I was trying to recommend this seating.
I love it.
Just because as you're heading along,
Yeah.
and how nice is it to be?
It suits us down to the ground, that seating arrangement. Yeah, I love it.
Yep.
Yeah. And I love this too. Get out there. I mean, you can get across pretty easily.
There are also some that use these as basically like a jigging cage.
Yeah.
So they actually stand out here to actually fish. So one of the benefits of that is really nothing in your way. Like you can vertically jig just straight here. And it's just another fishing position. Like we've still got plenty of access for fishability in the main cockpit and also down the walk around.
Yeah.
We can definitely see some whitecaps picking up.
Yeah, and we're sort of side on to the wind now. Yeah, it's actually doing really good.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't really rock at all.
No.
They're like just the space from me to you.
Yeah, I love this spot. Even when you're navigating, like it's actually a really nice sort of spot.
Yeah.
Gets you down nice and low as well.
Yeah, people are just going to find their little niche spot, and there's plenty of them.
Yep.
And there's lots of things to hold on to be comfortable.
Yeah, well, when it gets really rough, you know, like that's when, in really rough conditions, a lot of people would stand up. And when you're standing up, you know, this massive, big, chunky rail on the roof is a very good thing to grab onto. The rear rails on the back of the hardtop
Now these are the ones that you actually added, Mark. So these are not a standard factory option. You just wanted them to assist in the grabbing to get around. And
I've been naturally holding on to them too.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we put them on there. That was James' idea.
Yeah, no, they're a really good idea. I haven't done them previously, but I've got to admit I do really like them. So these ones are standard. Yeah. And yeah, obviously you can grab onto them, but that added one just probably helps even when you're accessing the walk around.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to go for it. You've been out the front, James. I haven't yet.
Yeah, I went around. It's pretty good. Now it might be a bit harder for you, but it's perfect size for me to sit there, stand there. But you could even sit on that, Dad.
Yeah, that's probably easier for me to sit here. Cool as.
You need to get some air and get away.
Yeah.
Just walk around and.
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit seasick. Get out the front here, get some air in my face. Ah.
That closed, you need that pin open, so you got to push the lever towards me because it's closed. See how I came up and I hit it?
Yeah.
You've got the gate closed.
Okay, like there.
That's actually not a bad thing that actually occurred, because like I should have said, make sure the gate is open.
Yeah.
That pin, that's what fires in to lock the boat.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So it was already closed. So I came up, I felt it. I came up and I hit it, and I was like, no, it's closed.
Yeah, I didn't realise it had had to be opened. Yes.
Yeah. So that pin has to be open so that when I drive the D ring in, it shoots through and it locks it. So there's actually nothing locking that boat onto the trailer except for the boat catch.
Yeah.
Now this is a little trick. Probably doesn't matter this time of year because it's summer, but in winter it gets cold water and we don't want to get wet feet and everything.
Yeah.
So you just drive up. You don't drive all the way up.
Okay. Yeah.
You drive up 4 feet so you can do your safety chain and your winch without getting wet feet.
Great. That's a good tip because I'm always knee deep in water.
Yeah. I can now come along here and I can just attach the winch and the safety chain and not have to worry about having cold feet.
Or slipping.
Or slipping, because this is now dry. So so it's a safer way to do it.
Yeah.
And again, I do not recommend driving up the boat ramp without your boat, without your safety chain and everything. So yeah, we just have the lock on. And one more. Yep, done. Now I've got the safety chain, winch on, boat catch. Still always leave that pin as a safety as well.
Yep. Well, thanks, Mark. That was a really great, comprehensive handover.
Yeah.
I'm totally impressed. You told me I would be, but until you get and sit in something like this, you don't know. And I'm comparing it to all I know, and that is the 1850 and a small tinny before that, which only had a 6 horsepower motor. So that doesn't matter. But the 1850 is really capable, and I love that boat. But compared to this beast, I can see why you said it's another step and level above.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So not only is it a bigger boat for extra seating capacity, you take more people and more gear, just the capabilities of this large Stabicraft model. I mean, it wasn't overly rough out there today, but you could very quickly see that not much is going to phase this big girl. So
but it was windy. It especially picked up at the end there.
Yeah.
And that wind would knock us around normally. Because I'm used to riding in the 1850, and I know we would notice that.
Yeah,
it'd be fairly bumpy, and we'd be doing these ones. We'd be safe, but we'd be knocked around a bit. This just sat on the water and stuck to it, and just pushed through those small chop, that half-meter chop. They just pushed through it instead of riding over it.
Absolutely, and that would have a bit of an impact of the fact that this is a much heavier boat, so bigger horsepower, bigger weight. It is obviously a longer waterline length, but just an awesome boat. So hopefully, you know, that's just the start, you know, like of your impressions, and you know, as you get to use this and just the way that this is laid out and what you can achieve in this boat, I just think it's just going to keep giving you more and more joy. Looking forward to your feedback after your big trip this weekend. But I'm very sure that it won't take you long to have like ultimate confidence in this product. And if you sort of thought, you know, you felt pretty safe and pretty capable in the 1850, as I said, this is definitely that very next level. So heading offshore, doing some of these trips that we've talked about, maybe heading up north and heading out
to the reef.
This is going to open up a lot more opportunity for that. So excited to see how the next phase of your boating journey goes with this larger model.
Well, we'll keep you filled in, and you'll be able to watch it too on our channel.
I certainly will. So, I certainly will be keeping an eye on it, and I know already some of my customers have been part of this journey of this new model, and they're keen to sort of see, you know, how you go taking handover and once you get to utilise it in the water. So
cool. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
Another Stabicraft for you. So
yes.
I look forward to your feedback.
Yeah. Now we've got to sell the 1850.
Yep.
Anyway, that's another story. And just quickly, what I want to do is thank Northside Marine and Mark Golden in particular for their help with purchasing this boat. They've given us a nice discount. Along with Stabicraft, they have accepted us as part of their ambassadorship, which doesn't mean we're getting paid or anything. It just means that a small discount on the overall package, which we very much appreciate, because when you're purchasing something like this, every little dollar helps, I can tell you. I can tell you that we've already taken this out on the water. We've tested it with 8 fully grown men on board, which is the maximum you can have on the 2250, and it was a really great time. 3 days out at Tangalooma. Gonna look forward to bringing that video to you in the next week, so make sure you keep an eye out for that one. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a big fishy thumbs up, share it around, and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.